The relationship between feminism and Marxism runs very deep. There are many similarities between the core tenets of Marxism and the feminist perspective. In fact, among the various branches of feminism, one specific branch directly utilizes Karl Marx's theory of class struggle to explain the social position of women and outline their framework for action. This is known as Marxist or socialist feminism.
To put it simply, Marxism posits that in the post-industrial revolution capitalist society, humanity is divided into two primary classes, namely the proletariat, the working class, and the bourgeoisie, the capitalists. In a capitalist system, consumer goods and other commodities are manufactured mechanically in mills and factories. The wealthy and powerful capitalist class owns the necessary machinery, tools, and infrastructure for this work. Yet, it is the workers, the proletariat, who possess the skills to utilize them for production. It is through their labor that production continues.
From a Marxist perspective, within a capitalist system, individuals of the working class are compelled to labor and apply their skills in the owner's factory in exchange for wages. However, they hold no rights over the commodities produced. The owner sells the produced goods in the market to reap profits. According to Marx's theory, the value a worker adds to society through their production is greater than the value they receive in return. The owner misappropriates this surplus value as profit.
In this manner, the owner accumulates wealth by exploiting the worker within the capitalist system. Consequently, these two classes, the bourgeoisie and the proletariat, are inherently antagonistic toward each other. The bourgeoisie is the exploiter, the proletariat is the exploited. The capitalist is the oppressor, the worker is the oppressed. In other words, the relationship between the owner and the worker is dialectical. Under the capitalist system, the proletariat is engaged in a class struggle against the capitalist class. Marx predicted that when this class struggle reached its peak, capitalism would be overthrown through a revolution, establishing socialism where power would reside in the hands of the proletariat.
This summary of Marxism is admittedly oversimplified, but that is essentially the core idea. For now, we will not delve into debates regarding the validity, truth, or merits of Marxist theory. Much has already been discussed on that matter. We will solely attempt to understand the points of convergence and divergence between feminism and Marxism.
Let us suppose we divide the entirety of the human race into two classes, men and women. This classification is natural and biological. Unlike the bourgeoisie-proletariat dichotomy, it is not merely theoretical, but rather a realistic experience grounded in biology. Now, within the structural framework of Marxism, let us replace the bourgeoisie with men and the proletariat with women. Similarly, let us envision patriarchy in place of capitalism.
This substitution is quite compelling because, just as Marx views power and authority as resting with the capitalist under capitalism, feminism views power and authority, at least ostensibly, as resting with men within a patriarchal system. Furthermore, while men's labor carries monetary value, women have historically received no wages for domestic labor. Therefore, from an economic standpoint as well, women are the exploited and men are the exploiters. By this logic, patriarchy shares significant parallels with capitalism. Upon closer scrutiny, subtle differences between Marxism and feminism will certainly emerge, but their theoretical frameworks remain largely identical.
Furthermore, historically speaking, the first wave of the feminist movement was contemporary with Marxism. The Seneca Falls Convention, held in New York in 1848, is regarded as the inception of the feminist movement. The Declaration of Sentiments adopted at that convention serves as the foundational document of the feminist movement. Coincidentally, Marx and Engels' famous joint work, The Manifesto of the Communist Party, was published in that very same year. Subsequently, Friedrich Engels' 1884 book, The Origin of the Family, Private Property, and the State, written from a Marxist perspective, deeply influenced subsequent feminist thought.
In this book, the monogamous marital family structure of today's civilized world is identified as the source of women's subjugation within a patriarchal societal system. In fact, many feminists believe that to establish gender equality, the abolition of the family structure is necessary. Engels' book supports this notion. According to Engels, pre-patriarchal society was essentially matriarchal. His famous statements, "The downfall of maternal law was the historic defeat of the female sex," provided profound inspiration to feminism. This assertion by Friedrich Engels fueled the feminist dream that the future is female.
In brief, it can be argued that feminism is, in a sense, an evolved, gender-based variant of Marxism. However, because the relationship between men and women is deeply rooted at a personal level in human emotions, such as love, affection, tenderness, and empathy, as well as in morality, obligations and duties, and religious beliefs, a direct declaration of war by the exploited against the exploiter, that is, women against men, is impractical. Perhaps this is why the strategy of feminism's struggle for power is far more subtle.
For instance, feminism posits that gender relations are inherently political. Yet, throughout the nearly 200-year history of feminism, feminists have rarely been seen participating directly in the political struggles of parliamentary democracy. Academically, feminists advocate for the eradication of gender discrimination, yet they appear largely reluctant to relinquish gender-based privileges. Are these mere coincidences, or are they covert strategies of feminist politics? Regardless, for the time being, we will conclude by recognizing the close relation between feminism and Marxism. The strategic nuances of feminist gender politics can be discussed elsewhere.